Hi everyone, it's Dr. Fox, and let's talk about the laryngeal neurovasculature. In this video, we'll discuss the nerves and arteries that serve the larynx, in particular branches of vagus nerves and how they affect their target tissues, as well as the arteries, their sources, pathways, and adjacent anatomical relationships. So let's begin with a set of nerves that branch from the vagus and serve the larynx from the superior. And these are the superior laryngeal nerves. These nerves branch from the vagus nerves within the carotid sheath and then bifurcate into internal and external branches. The external branch of the superior laryngeal nerve serves the cricothyroid muscle. These are the muscles which tip the thyroid cartilage anteriorly and increase pitch. The internal branch of the superior laryngeal nerve is going to move through a hiatus in the thyrohyoid membrane, and it is going to serve the mucosa proximal to the vocal folds. So everything proximal that's mucosa is served by these internal branches. These branches have two roles. First of all, they are afferent or sensory from these mucosa. And secondly, they are secretomotor, so parasympathetic to those mucosa. So with activation from the internal branch, that is going to cause the mucosa superior or proximal to those vocal folds to secrete mucus. Now let's look at the recurrent laryngeal nerves. The recurrent laryngeal nerves have their own pathway that ascend to the larynx. They are branches of the vagus nerve, so the vagus nerve is the entire innervation of and to the larynx. On the right side, the right recurrent laryngeal nerve wraps around the subclavian artery. On the left side, it wraps around the concavity of the aorta. And on both sides, they ascend within the tracheo-esophageal groove. That is that slight groove that is the boundary between the trachea anteriorly and the esophagus posteriorly. The recurrent laryngeal nerves are motor to nearly all intrinsic laryngeal muscles, everything except the cricothyroid. They also serve the mucosa distal to the vocal folds, and in two ways. They are afferent or sensory from that mucosa, and they are secretomotor, parasympathetic to that mucosa. So basically, the recurrent laryngeal nerves with respect to the mucosa serve all of the same functions distal to the vocal folds that the superior laryngeal nerves serve proximal to the vocal folds. Now let's take a look at the laryngeal vasculature. So the external carotid artery gives off the superior thyroid artery. The superior thyroid artery is going to serve the thyroid gland, which is just anterolateral to the larynx. That superior thyroid artery gives off the superior laryngeal artery. And note where this artery is going. It is accompanying the internal branch of the superior laryngeal nerve through that hiatus in the thyrohyoid membrane. There is also an inferior laryngeal artery. The inferior laryngeal artery is a branch of the inferior thyroid artery, which comes from the thyrohyoid trunk, which comes from the first part of the subclavian artery. Now note that this artery ascends in the tracheo-esophageal groove, and it's important to relate its relationship with the recurrent laryngeal nerve, because if this artery is ever ligated, one must spare the recurrent laryngeal nerve or risk paralyzing a large portion of one side of the intrinsic laryngeal muscles. Now let's assess our knowledge. Which intrinsic laryngeal muscle has a unique innervation? Is it the arytenoid muscles? No. Cricothyroid, pretty unique in being an external branch of the superior laryngeal nerve. And all of the rest share the same innervation as the arytenoid as they are all recurrent laryngeal nerves. So B, cricothyroid muscles, is the correct answer. Thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Bye.